Here's the most recent article from Inside EVs about global EV sales. Global plug-in electric vehicle car sales exceeded 10 million in 2022. Sounds like a large number, but what percentage of total car sales is that? And we get to this data showing that 21% of new car sales are electrical vehicles, either fully battery electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. 21%. And for the full year of 2022, it was 14%, but the rate of growth is so much that the end of the year was 21%, while the beginning of the year was quite a bit less. And as you can see over here, the growth was 39% year over year, even off of this relatively large base. For those of you familiar with my early 2018 article on the futurist, you can see that at that time it was only 2% of new car sales that were EVs, but I was super confident at that time that we were going to get to large numbers, and that has in fact happened when 21% of new car sales are now electrical vehicles. Much more so in Europe and East Asia than the US, but still 21% of world car sales being EVs is very substantial. This is the shatter point of technological disruption. So let's go to this chart. So follow what I'm about to say in terms of how to read this chart if you are new here. These vertical columns represent individual calendar years, 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22, 5 years. And each month represents the month in each of those years in order to smooth out basic seasonality and other such distortions. So within each month, you can look at 2018 to 2022, December, 2018 to 2022, November, and so forth. And the red being 2022, you can see the stark growth. And this includes pre-COVID versus post-COVID as well, and thus the work from home revolution. And you can see that the red bar is usually 5 to 6 times higher than the white bar. And that is how much growth we have had just from 2018 to 2022, 4 years. And thus 21% of new car sales are electrical vehicles. That is huge. We are upon this shatter point. I used to say that this is one of the biggest technological disruptions in the world going on right now, and it still is, but it's lower than the one that I mentioned a few minutes ago, which is the work from home revolution. Nonetheless, the two are simultaneous and mutually reinforcing as well. More and more countries will get out of oil imports and achieve substantial economic growth because the need to import oil has been a tremendous obstruction to economic progress for Japan, for China, and for Western Europe. All of these countries are going to EVs just to get out of that trade deficit situation that results from having to import oil. Even in the United States, places like California cities, the Bay Area and Los Angeles, also have about 20 to 25% of new cars as EVs, whereas the US interior is still 1 to 2%. And fine, the needs over there are somewhat different, so I'm not going to judge them the same way I judge National Review. EVs have one other limitation, which is that when temperatures go below the freezing point of water, the innate heat generated by an internal combustion engine is useful for heating the interior of the car, whereas EVs don't have that heat. That is a plus on hot days, but that is a negative when temperatures are very cold. So there are some engineering workarounds of that, and that's why plug-in hybrid EVs also have popularity for this type of reason. But nonetheless, this is the rate of growth of EVs, and we finally got that magazine cover indicator that tells us perfectly that the time has arrived, as I've been predicting for many years. In fact, over on The Futurist, longtime readers will know that I was a fan of EVs and Tesla in particular. As far back as 2007, I was writing articles about how we're going to have EVs sooner than people think, and all the things you're hearing about how electric cars are golf carts and they'll put too much strain on the grid, and all kinds of other complaints are all going to fall by the wayside. And all the other silly objections that conservatives put forth are also going to go away. They say that unless an EV can fill up in 2 minutes like an internal combustion engine car can at a gas station, it has no value. Now, the concept of trade-offs should not be that difficult for people to understand, but apparently for these conservatives it is. No, it can't charge in 2 minutes, but it does charge at your own home overnight. You don't have a gas pump at home, do you? The EV charges at home overnight and therefore is fully charged in the morning. I would consider that to be more convenient than having to go to a gas station and fill up your car, and just because that takes 2 minutes while you're standing there, that isn't necessarily the greatest thing. And aren't conservatives the ones always complaining about how gasoline price inflation is lowering our standard of living, and that is why human society is less prosperous than 40 years ago, because gasoline is now $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon versus when it was 20 cents a gallon in 1960, and no other measurement matters? So again, a tremendous amount of confusion within conservatism about what they believe, and I will have other videos talking about the total collapse of this ideology and what that means from the standpoint of futurism. But this is one of the pillars of how conservatism has no vision for the future, does not have any solutions or good ideas, and National Review, again, with an average age of their readership of 75, puts out a magazine cover like this, which is, for us, a superb indicator that the world has gone in the opposite direction. Anyway, I hope you found this video to be informative and entertaining, and if you like this type of content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.